hustlers, welcome back to another video. It's another week, another new video. If you're new, we talk about personal finance, self-development and entrepreneurship here. So if that is something that is up your alley, then do click the subscribe button and join my family of hustlers. We are hustlers here. We are girls or men that are working hard at, you know, securing the bag, getting our finances in order, and making sense of our money and our finances. Today I want to talk about saving versus paying off debt. Which one to do, right? So let me just clarify before we get into this video that none of my videos are financial advice. If you are looking for financial advice, please do see someone who is registered with the FSCA, who will put your needs above theirs and give you what's best for you. I just share my personal experience, some personal finance information that I think would help you, but please do not use this as financial advice. Let's just get that out the way so we can move on to bigger and better things. Right, so talking about saving and paying off debt, this conversation I've seen quite a few times, and I've gotten quite a few DMs from people asking, hey, what should I do more of? What should I be focusing more of, saving or paying off my debt? And I mean, it can go either way depending on your financial situation. Right, let me just start off by sharing a bit of my story, my standpoint on this matter, and then we can go into the more facts and the details. So I currently, do not have a car maintenance plan for my car. I've mentioned this in previous videos where I speak about getting car financing and things you should do before getting a car. If you haven't checked those out, you know what to do down below. And my car has really been going through the most these past couple of months. I think it started giving me problems around September. And it's just been one thing after the other, right? So I took it in first because it started having like a car jerking problem. The problem was fixed. I think I paid like 350 rand and I thought it was fine. The problem was not okay. It came back and it was at a much far worse. December I had to take it in again. I couldn't drive home for the holidays because the car was giving me problems. I had to take it in even before December. I had to take it in for I think in October I had to take it in for a service. And then the problem started happening after the service. Yes, that's my timeline. Then December, so I've had to do service. In the space of like 6 months, I've had to do service. I've had to sort out an issue, and the issue, I took it in first. I paid that amount, 350. I took it in again, I paid 1,500 rand. And then now in February, I've paid 4,500 rand to get this car fixed. In a space of 6 months, that is how much I've spent, basically. And if I was someone who didn't have an emergency fund, or who didn't have an excess of disposable income, I would have not known what I would have done to sort that car out. My car is a convenience to me. It gets me to work very easily, and you know, it's just become such a part of my life that without it, I feel like I have nothing, like I don't know what to do, you know. And that has just been such a big strain on me financially, because I've literally been having to focus on getting it sorted and basically dispersing my funds more towards sorting out this issue. And if I was someone who didn't have savings, if I was someone who didn't have a budget and was able to allocate my funds better, because obviously with my savings I've got a set savings amount, and then now if I'm told I have to fork out 5,000 rand to fix my car, there's some movements and changes that I have to do to be able to afford and have that amount of money, right? So that for me is already kind of giving you my standpoint on saving, you know. And then I don't have medical aid as well, so all my medical issues I deal with cash. And for the past year I've just been having an issue with my tooth. I had a cavity on this tooth here, and it just started giving me massive problems. I went to the dentist, and it's just been such a big thing. I thought I would be in and out and I would be sorted out, and I budgeted around 800 rand to get this tooth sorted. But when I got to the dentist, I had to do a deep clean, because quite embarrassed to admit I hadn't seen the dentist in quite a few years. So she had to do a massive express clean, like a very deep clean, and that costs more money than just a normal clean. And then the second thing was, obviously I didn't want to extract this tooth. It had a cavity and I wanted her to give me a fill, but because the cavity had grown so big, it was very close to the nerve, and she was scared to just put a permanent fill there and then I would have problems later. So we had to do a trial and error, y'all. Firstly, I had to get it cleaned, which was very painful, and then I had to put a semi-permanent fill just to see how my tooth would react. That is another money. So I had to pay money to clean my teeth, had to pay money for the semi-permanent pill, then I had to wait 2 weeks, and on top of that she had to give me antibiotics. I had to go buy antibiotics from the pharmacy so that it could help with the recovery of the tooth and all of that stuff, take the bacteria out, the infection or whatever was going on there. And then I had to go back to her again to take out this semi-permanent fill and put in the permanent fill. So all these four different things have been money. Money. I don't have a medical aid, so all of this has to be done cash. And as she was cleaning my teeth, she found I've got more cavities, so we've got more fills scheduled over the next few months because she doesn't want to do all of them at once so that I don't experience like so much pain. So do you kind of get where I am? And for me, I feel like if I didn't have any savings, I didn't have any budget, I was someone who just didn't know what was going on in my finances, I would have used debts, I would have used my credit card, I would have probably borrowed money from friends or somewhere to get these things sorted out. But because I am disciplined in my saving and also disciplined in paying off my debt, I was able to get this done and get through this like really like money intensive financial situation for myself. And it's just been a period of 6 months, from like October until February, March. It's just been, I've been forking out money for all these type of situations, and I'm not complaining. I'm grateful that I've been able to do that, you know, without servicing debt. But this is the sole purpose of this video. What are you going to focus on? Are you going to focus on saving, or are you going to focus on paying off debt? I mentioned in one of my videos that in my budgeting video, I'll leave it down below, that I follow the 50-30-20 budgeting method. 50% towards my needs, everything that I need, my rent and all of that, 30% towards my wants, and 20% towards my saving and my investing and debt repayment and all of that stuff. So I make sure that I stick to this so that I don't have situations where I've got too much debt, too much savings, and it just doesn't make sense, or too little savings and my debt is paid off and I actually am gonna use debt to get out of the situation, right? So you guys have kind of know where I stand. I am for both equally, or in a manner of what makes sense for you in terms of your finances. I don't have a lot of debt, so I can afford to save a bit more and all of that stuff, right? So let's get into the facts, right? What do the experts say on this topic, right? So the first thing is to identify what the debt is and decide how you're going to tackle it, right? I think it's very important. If you know what the debt is, what is the type of debt that you have, then you'll know, okay, how are you going to tackle it? Are you going to be focusing more on getting rid of this debt and paying it off, or can you also save at the same time and focus on both, right? And one of the examples here is credit cards, store accounts have got very high interest rates. You pay high interests on those. And another example of another debt would be a bond. A bond has lower interest rates and you can pay this off in a longer period, right? So if you had credit cards or store accounts, it'll make sense to obviously focus on getting rid of those because of the high interest rate that you pay on those. But a bond, it would be great if you could pay it off, but I feel there wouldn't be as much of a rush to pay it off because of the low interest rate and the longer period that you have to pay off this thing. And as well, you can focus on paying off your debt and save at the same time by using your access bond. I mentioned access bond in my emergency fund video. I'll leave it down below so you can check it out. And basically what this is, you know, there's a portion on your bond that is an access bond that is there for you should you need it, or is there to help counter off against your total bond amount. Then the next thing to consider if you are planning on only focusing on debt is how are you going to get yourself out of financial situations when they come. I've mentioned to you, I've had quite a few financial situations over the last 6 months, and if I was just focusing on paying off debt, I don't know how I would have gotten out of them without using debt. So if your focus is, right, I'm going to focus on paying off my debt, I'm not going to really focus on saving. If something happens, an emergency, how are you going to get yourself out of that situation? What is your contingency plan? What is your plan? What is your backup plan? And if you have one, then it makes sense for you to, by all means, reduce debt. I know that there's this conversation of being debt-free, but it has to make sense for your finances. Where is your financial standpoint? That's why I think knowing what the debt is and how you're going to tackle it, and if you are going to be focusing on debt, how you're going to get yourself out of financial situations is very important to consider. And then the last thing is, if you're planning on saving and focusing on saving, solely on saving, and you have debt, then I think the next thing would be to do this, focus on saving only if the returns exceed the interest that you'd pay. So basically, interest received exceeds interest paid, or interest that you would pay, right? Because that's just the only thing that would make sense. Because you are paying interest on your debt, right? and if you're saving, you're going to be receiving interest. If you're going to be focusing on saving and not paying off your debt, then the saving interest that you receive has to exceed the one you pay. The only way to make sense that you would be focusing on that. Personally, I think this point is very valid. And there's different savings. There's emergency fund savings, there's retirement fund savings, and I think the retirement saving would make sense if you are focusing on this one, is if your employer matches your contributions and you would want to get the maximum available contribution match from your employer. So for example, the maximum your employer can match for your retirement annuity fund contributions is 80%. So if you contribute a maximum of 80% of whatever amount, they can match that, then it will make sense for you to be going to the maximum of what they can give you, so you can get the full use of that benefit, right? And then also another one would be, if you're focusing solely on saving, I've mentioned this, the access bond. At the same time, you're paying off your debt, reducing your interest that you pay, and you've got this access bond because you're paying extra towards your bond, which is a long-term debt. So at the end of the day, I think there's no right or wrong answer. I think it just depends on your financial situation and where your standpoint is, but it's very good to consider these 3 things that I've mentioned when you are making that decision. As always, keep hustling. I'll catch you guys on the next video. Please do let me know down below, what will you be doing this year? Are you going to be saving more? Are you going to be paying off debts? Which of the 2 are you gonna do? You guys already know I'm doing both. Yeah, so catch you guys next time. As always, keep hustling. Bye.